with Strategic Real Estate Coach, and I have my guest today is Tammy Maffei. Tammy is a local friend of mine, actually a friend of the family, who I started working with and coaching, mentoring in the real estate business back in the summer of 2007. And Tammy came into the office, was telling me about a recent closing that she had, and wanted you to hear from her because Tammy is actually a really successful business owner outside of real estate, and she's kind of doing this business part-time. And she's actually done really well over the past year, 2 years. She's closed about 10 deals and made about $100,000 in this business part-time. And I wanted to kind of give you an idea of her progression in the real estate business, and have you tell her about kind of where she started and how she's kind of progressed over the last 2 years or so.
Absolutely no real estate experience. I own two child care centers for school-aged children, and I've always been interested in real estate. My husband and I are landlords and own a few properties, and I saw some things on television about short sales, was interested, happened to be talking to Josh's mom, and she said, hey, that's what Josh does. So I gave Josh a call, waited for him to get a program started, and went to the program, sat there and was amazed at most of the people in the room had some real estate experience. They were investors already in some shape or form. There were many that were realtors, and I sat there like, wow, what am I doing here? But
how am I going to make it,
it
right?
was very interesting, and Josh has been there to support me and help me along and encourage me, and so I stuck with it. And I love this business. It's a lot of fun. I've met a lot of great people, and I'm really forging ahead and hoping to do it in a full-time way.
So tell me a little bit about your business now. We were chatting earlier, and you know, you have, I guess, a sort of a preferred realtor that you're working with, and
I do.
And you have you know, some deals in your funnel, but you're a lot more comfortable today than you were a couple of years ago. So tell me about your business now.
Absolutely. Well, I actually have someone that does marketing for me. I actually do my own negotiations, and I actually still go out and meet the sellers. My realtor handles the whole buying part. He sells the house. He works with the end buyer. I really don't have any contact with the end buyer. I get calls from the marketing. We just do a pretty straightforward, simple postcard, you know, that tells people that we are interested in buying homes. And with the people that call us back, out of the people that call us back, I go ahead and explain what we do. If they're interested, I go out, meet with them, gather their paperwork, get the package ready for the bank, then work directly with the bank. And I have systems in place, not as many as Josh has yet, but I have systems in place, and it's a pretty smooth process. Once you get the paperwork, and once you make sure that this is the best solution, that's probably the first thing that I do, is try to make sure it's the best solution for the person that's on the phone calling me in the foreclosure situation.
Right.
And, you know, once you determine that, it's just, you go through the steps, and every deal's a little bit different, and I'm still learning. 10 deals in, I still have a lot to learn, but it's a system that you set up, and if you follow the system, you can do it.
So this most recent deal, let's talk about that for a second. This most recent closing, how did you get the lead? Like, did it come from just your postcard marketing?
Yes,
or? Okay.
It was from postcard marketing, and I remember the gentleman called me. He was in Arizona, and he had been transferred. He had this very nice house. The house was almost brand new. It was in great shape, and he just assumed, he took the transfer, that he'd be able to sell it, no problem. He had it listed with a realtor for like over a year, nothing. Wow. And apparently the realtor had never heard of the short sale process, lucky for me. And it took us a long time. He was out of state, and sometimes that can be difficult, although I'm getting a lot better at dealing with that, because a lot of people that I deal with are not in Ohio. So I'm getting really good at flagging those contracts and explaining it to them over the phone. We got the paperwork back. Once I got the paperwork back, I got in touch with the bank. It did take a long time to get it assigned. Once it was assigned, we were moving along, and at the same time, again, my realtor was trying to sell the house. And we actually had a contract on it before I was finished with the bank.
Okay.
It was also an FHA deal, which was a little bit different than what I've done, but it all came together, and it worked out great.
So you said, yeah, you made how much money?
$20,000.
$20,000?
I did.
Didn't have to put any of your own money at risk, cash or credit. You had a transactional funder, private lender funded deal. And you walked away with 20, but you said your realtor also made out pretty well on that.
Yes, he did, because he was the only realtor involved on the A to B, so he made 5% on the first transaction, and he made 1% on the second transaction.
About $8,000 or so, huh?
So he did really well too. He works very hard. I have a lot more. That's one thing I have a lot of respect for realtors. Good realtors work really hard, and he works really hard. And some of the deals that you do are more successful than others, and his commission is dependent on that also.
Sure. So about $28,000, $29,000 total revenue.
Yes.
You got about $8,000 to $9,000. You got about $20,000. So what advice could you give somebody who's new? I know you've been doing this part time for a while. You're getting to the point where lately you've had a lot of success. You've closed a couple big deals lately, and you're thinking about maybe even shutting down some of your other businesses to do this more on a full-time level. But everybody starts brand new, where they don't know much, if anything, about real estate. So what kind of advice would you give somebody who is literally kind of where you were 2 years ago?
Well, I would suggest a coaching program, and of course I'd suggest SREC. But I would suggest, the people that you surround yourself with are going to have a great deal to do with how successful you are. You need a support system. It is something that once you learn the process, you do follow it from each step, but it's not something that you're just going to jump into and go, oh wow, this is easy, I'm going to do a deal. You have to do the research. You have to understand the laws. That's an extremely important part of coaching, is that I feel that when I'm not sure of the law, I have someone to ask, and that's making sure everything's transparent and following the procedure that you need to follow to keep it legal, to keep everyone happy. I just suggest that you find somewhere or someone to mentor you that is going to have all that.
Right.
And past that, you've got to dig in and do it. I know in the beginning, probably the biggest thing is I was really nervous about it, and I probably didn't dig in as hard as I could in that first 6 months.
Right.
I think it was the second event that I went to in Florida, and I was a lot more comfortable. I was really starting to talk to the other students. Sure. And that really changed it, and I had a deal within a few months close. Actually, my biggest deal was my first deal.
Right. Broken fence. Broken fence. That's right.
And,
we worked on that one together. Yeah.
You have to do it. You're not going to learn it by just. That it's really important to get all the education that you can, but getting in there and doing it is important.
Right.
And just having the backup system to help you.
Right.